The Tackling Race Inequalities listening event marked the end of a series of groundbreaking regional roadshows across the UK to hear local views on the government's race equality strategy. The London gathering was the seventh of its kind and gave people in the capital the chance to have their say on how best to develop future approaches to equality. Addressing over 200 representatives from business, charities, voluntary groups and other local authorities, the Communities Minister Sadiq Khan said it was necessary to look again at what priorities should be.
These are interesting times. On Monday you will see the second reading of the Single Equality Bill in the House of Commons. We already have, as most of you will know, a Equalities and Human Rights Commission. There have been lots and lots of changes over the last period. It's also worth reminding ourselves that we enter arguably the most difficult economic times in many of our living memories, and we know from previous recessions, we know from previous difficult economic downturns that the first communities to suffer, and the communities that suffer the most, tend to be ethnic minority communities, people of African Caribbean heritage, people of Pakistani, Bengali heritage, people of Asian heritage, and people who are ethnic minorities.
The Minister said real progress had been made in education, employment and tackling poverty, but inequalities remain.
If you look at the last 5 years, the biggest improvement in GCSE results has been amongst British students of Caribbean origin. We've seen over the last 10 years that the numbers of British children of Bengali and Pakistani origin who are now living in poverty has narrowed than it was before. And we've seen improvements in relation to the numbers of British citizens of ethnic minority origin getting jobs more now than they ever have before. But, you know, there are still, we need to back those achievements, and they are achievements of which I'm very proud. But there are lots and lots of problems still within the society we live. There are still too many young black citizens of African Caribbean heritage who have been stopped and searched by the police, disproportionately much higher than those of other ethnic backgrounds. There are still too many women, Asian, Pakistani and Bengali origin who are economically inactive, almost 70%. There are still too many people living in overcrowded housing. There are still too many British citizens of ethnic minority backgrounds dying prematurely. Mortality rates are still quite low. So there are still huge challenges to be made.
Mr. Sadiq Khan thanked those present for their work over the past months and said progress had been made as a result of their discussions.
I think for those who work in this area, it's an exciting time to be involved in this area of work. We've seen progress made. So those who say to you, the cynics, that actually what's the point of being involved in lobbying, what's the point of campaigning, what's the point of being involved in constructive discussion with government, you can give an answer and say, look, this is the progress we've made over the last 10, 12 years. But it also means we know from our communities that there are lots and lots of challenges still there in our communities.
The UK government is also pledging an extra £12 million to help fund projects across the UK to help aid its strategies to tackle race inequality.